What's up, worldwide fam? It's your man Omar S once again for the West Coast Wave. And for YouTube, I know it's been a minute, but we're back up in it. A large US military convoy rolled into Syria on first day of Biden presidency. It's by Tyler Durden at Zero Hedge. Two separate reports from Middle East news sources at the end of this week strongly suggest that both Russia and the United States are building up their forces in war-torn Syria within the opening days of the Joe Biden administration. First, Syrian state media is alleging a major U.S. buildup and reinforcements sent to illegitimate bases in Hasaka countryside. The report in Syria's Sana'a details that a convoy consisted of 40 trucks loaded with weapons and logistical materials affiliated to the so-called international coalition have entered in Hasaka countryside via Al-Walid, a legitimate border crossing with north of Iraq to reinforce legitimate bases in the area. I took screenshots because the Library of Alexander's on fire, as our dear friend James Corbett from the CorbettReport.com says. So we're taking screenshots because later, they might scrub this. And that's why we're on library. Post a link to library. Make yourself a library account. Get yourself some crypto. Why not? This is an illustrative file image of the U.S. convoy in northeast Syria. Damascus said further that tons of U.S. heavy equipment was observed going toward building up U.S. positions at Conoco oil and gas field. Over the past few days, helicopters affiliated to the so-called International Coalition have transported logistical equipment and heavy military vehicles to Conoco oil field in northeastern Deir ez-Zor countryside after turning it into military base to reinforce its presence and loot the Syrian resources. Sana'a wrote. Further, this comes at a moment Biden's Syria policy and direction is largely a big unknown, though it remains that his cabinet looks to include foreign policy hawks, particularly many of the same officials responsible for Obama's both overt and covert interventions in Libya and Syria upon the start of the so-called Arab Spring. For now, President Biden is likely simply to continue Trump's policy of keeping a contingent of American Special Forces troops not stealing but occupying Syria's oils and gas fields. Meanwhile, a separate story on the same day as the reported U.S. convoy reinforcement says Russia, too, is busy building up its forces in an area near where Americans and Turkish patrols are occupying northeast Syria. A Syrian child searching for food in a waste dump, and seen behind him the Syrian oil wells that are under the USA occupation. USA is bringing misery to all of Syria. The Russian armed forces sent more reinforcements and heavy military equipment to the Al-Qamishli airport this week as they strengthened their presence east of the Euphrates River. According to the latest reports from the Al-Hasaka governorate, the Russian armed forces deployed more troops to the front lines with the Turkish military and their allied militants near the key town of Tal Tamir. This is based on Russian military sources featuring footage of Russian Il-76 cargo landing at Qamishli Airport, which is the second time in 10 days that they have brought in more reinforcements and military equipment. And here's a video of the Russian military cargo plane landing in northern Syria on Thursday. It was yesterday. Today's Friday. Right now it's 2:01 p.m. West Coast time, January 29th, 2021, by the way. Russia also lately sent more ships to patrol off Syria's Mediterranean coast out of the naval base at Tartus. Likely, this latest rush to ensure greater Russian readiness is based on the unknowns presented by the presidential transition in Washington. However, there is little doubt Biden will keep up the severe sanctions, which are currently crushing what's left of the Syrian economy, with civilians bearing the brunt of the suffering. Israel also appears to be ramping up its airstrikes inside Syria, claiming to be targeting Iranian positions amid concerns Biden will be soft on the Islamic Republic and so-called Iranian influence in Syria and Lebanon. Let me know what you think, dear reader. Thank you again for tuning in. There's more on the way. Definitely follow me on Twitter at Omar_SX3 or on Minds at Omar_SX. Or actually on Minds, it's just Omar_S.